Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk more about the Chrysler 6.1L Hemi V8 engine as part of my Fatal Flaw series for Chrysler engines. We've already done the 3.6L Pentastar V6, both the pre-Eagle and Eagle 5.7L Hemi V8, and the 6.4L Hemi. The 6.1L Hemi is interesting as it's one of the rarest and hardest to find Gen 3 Hemi engines, found in only 5 Chrysler applications. It also marked the beginning of the SRT8 days. So first we'll go into some detail about the specs of the engine, and then we'll look at the flaws and why they happen. Also, I will go into even more detail as I plan to make future videos that compare the 6.1 to the 5.7 and 6.4, but we'll still cover a good bit of info here. So let's get right into it. While the 5.7L Hemi engine was being developed and getting all the attention in the media, the SRT engineers were simultaneously working on a bigger and more powerful version. The engine first debuted in 2005 under the hood of the Chrysler 300C SRT8, sticking around until the end of the generation in 2010, and also getting put into the 2006 to 2008 Dodge Magnum SRT8, 2006 to 2010 Dodge Charger and Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, and finally the 2008 to 2010 Dodge Challenger SRT8. So it was SRT8 specific. The engine doesn't really have a nickname like the 5.7L Eagle or the 392 Hemi, but it is 370 cubic inches. In the passenger cars, it made 425 horsepower, with 420 horsepower in the Jeep at 6,200 RPM, and 420 pound-feet of torque at 4,800 RPM in all, a solid 25% increase in horsepower over the early 5.7 liters, with 85 more horsepower and 30 more pound-feet of torque. The only transmission that was ever paired with a 6.1 liter would be the 5-speed NAG1 Mercedes transmission for the 300 Charger, Magnum, and Grand Cherokee, and the NAG1, or a 6-speed manual for the Challenger. As I mentioned, this engine is pretty scarce these days. Exactly 83,839 of them were produced between the 5 vehicles, with the Challenger and Grand Cherokee leading the way. But still, that means that these were tough to find, as most people probably took care of their cars, kept them running, or felt that they were worthy of a repair should there have been a major breakdown. To cover all the bases, there also was a 300C touring wagon with an SRT8 version that was sold overseas, so this should add at least a few hundred to the production levels, as I don't believe those numbers are included in the 300 sedan SRT8 sales. Each of the SRT vehicles did receive a bit of a different look visually from the other models, so you could tell what it was right away, and each had SRT logos in the front grille and rear deck lid, as well as Hemi badges on the fenders. And on another note, these engines are rather simple compared to the other Hemis, with no multi-displacement system or MDS, and no variable camshaft timing. So, with the overview out of the way, let's get more into the 6.1 liter specs. The engine is based on the 5.7, but the cylinders have been bored out an extra 3.5 millimeters to get to the increased displacement. That means a 4.055 inch bore and a 3.579 inch stroke. The engine speed increases here to 6,400 RPM. Again, I do want to compare this engine to the 5.7 and the 6.4 at some point, so there will be some reference to the 5.7 as that was the main competitor during the time, but look for a lot more detail and info when that video comes out. The engine speed here increases to 6,400 RPM. The 6.1 blocks are cast iron and painted in Hemi orange. While that does pay homage to the iconic 426 Hemi engine, the main function of that was to help differentiate between the 5.7 and 6.1 blocks during assembly at the Saltillo engine plant. These blocks also have 6.1 liter cast on the driver's side of the block above the oil pan rail, and the valve covers are coated with a wrinkle black finish. As you'd expect, the rotating assembly is improved on the 6.1 compared to the 5.7. This engine has a forged steel crankshaft versus cast iron on the 5.7 for better strength and stiffness, and while both use hyper-eutectic pistons, the SRT has a floating pin instead of a press pin design, and they are lighter. The pistons are 4.055 inches in diameter, weighing 435 grams, and the connecting rods measure 6.242 inches centerline to centerline in length, which is actually the same as the 5.7. The 6.1 pistons are not only larger in diameter, but they also have a flat top surface, unlike the dome top pistons that are used in the 5.7. 4 double oil jets have been attached to the base of the main oil galley to cool the pistons. Both the intake and exhaust push rods are 1 millimeter longer than the 5.7 push rods. Moving on to cylinder heads and camshaft, the camshaft is a billet steel design with a higher lift than the fabricated 5.7 liter cam, from 0.472 inches to 0.571 inches. As for the cylinder heads, like all Gen 3 Hemis, they are made from aluminum with a twin plug design, featuring ports that are designed with larger cross-sectional areas. So as a result, these 6.1 heads show 11% more flow from the intake and 13% more flow in the exhaust ports over the early 5.7. The 16 hollow stem valves on both the intake and the exhaust side are larger in diameter than the 5.7, 2.08 inches for the intake valve head diameter and 1.6 inches for the exhaust valves. For improved heat dissipation, the exhaust valves are sodium filled. The cylinder heads weigh about 30 pounds each with valves and valve springs installed. Next is fuel. The stock compression ratio here is 10.2 to 1, and it does require premium 91 octane or higher fuel. As we mentioned, the 6.1 Hemi forgoes the multi-displacement system, or MDS, so all 8 cylinders provide power at all times. The fuel injectors and fuel pump for the 6.1 engine are also uniquely designed to maintain the required output for this performance application. Compared to the 5.7-liter version, the fuel injector flow capacity is increased by 14% here to cover the higher engine speeds and airflow. Similar to the 5.7 Hemi, this 6.1 engine is designed with 2 spark plugs per cylinder. The gas mileage is rated at roughly 13 city, 19 highway, and 15 mpg overall for the 4-door models, around 14 city and 22 highway for the Challenger, and 11 city, 13 highway for the Grand Cherokee. As for intake and exhaust, the 6.1 Hemi at the time got a new larger high-flow aluminum intake manifold designed with longer and larger diameter runners that provide the SRT8 with increased flow at higher RPM. The intake manifold is barrel-shaped with a long fixed runner. Interestingly, the 6.1-liter Hemi engine is also the last production Chrysler V8 engine that has a factory-installed aluminum intake manifold. Chrysler added an exhaust manifold with a true header design with steel tubes for each cylinder that are encased in a stainless steel shell. Headers reduce exhaust pressure buildup by creating a low pressure area at high RPM, improving the flow of the exhaust gases. So the addition of those headers resulted in a 12 horsepower gain over the stock cast manifolds that were used on the 5.7. And finally, these engines use an 80mm throttle body. As for the oil, the factory spec engine oil used is 0W40 Mobile 1 synthetic, which is different from the 5W20 on the 5.7 liter. So now we can move on to the major flaws part of this video. The good news for SRT8 owners is that unlike the other Hemis, this engine doesn't have such common and widespread problems, and I had to really dig deep to find issues with this motor. A few factors to consider here are that there are way less of these engines produced than the other Hemis, so of course less issues will come to the forefront. Many owners also upgrade these engines for better performance, changing out the stock parts and deficiencies. And many other owners also don't drive these cars long or sell them at relatively low mileage. But either way, here are a couple of things. The first thing to discuss is nothing new. It's the lifter roller failure, something that we talked about with both the 5.7-liter Eagle and the 6.4 motors as well. But it does seem far more prone to happening on the 5.7-liter, but it also has been reported on the 6.1 as well. So the lifter bearing seizes up and the roller doesn't function properly, causing a ticking noise. I've already covered this in other videos, but here's another short description. The general consensus will suggest that the roller bearings in the lifter roller fail. They're also called needle bearings, so that causes the roller to seize and end up tapping on the lobe rather than rolling. The stuck lifter then wears down the camshaft lobes and eats into the cam. The lobes can get worn down far enough to the point that the valves don't open enough anymore, and you'll get a cylinder misfire. To go a bit further into that explanation, inside the roller there are needle bearings. These needle bearings wear out the supporting pin through them, so the surface of the roller lifter has too much play and up and down movement. That causes more needle bearing damage, and they will eventually fail and drop down far enough that the sides of the bearing will also contact the cam lobes, as the roller partially recesses itself. So not only is the lifter not rolling properly on the cam lobes, but the lifter ears are now exposed and they can hit the cam, both of which can cause damage. And if you let it get bad enough, it will require lifters and camshaft replacement, about a $4,000 to $5,000 US job at a dealership. One of the main issues here is that often there are no misfire codes, performance problems, or check engine lights until it's too late and damage has been done. But some symptoms can include ticking that sounds like a sewing machine, shaking, stalling, and vibration that comes and goes, shuddering, misfires, or a misfire check engine light for that problem cylinder. The mileage when it occurs can totally vary, but I've seen it happen as low as 60 to 80,000 miles. The tough question to answer is, why does this happen? There are lots of theories out there, so I can't say for sure what the exact reason may be, or if it could be a variety of these factors. I won't go too in depth on this information right now, but I'll just post some stuff on screen in case you want to read. But some of these theories can include lack of lubrication to the needle bearings, too much idling and not changing your oil frequently enough or letting the oil level get low, cheap lifter quality, manufactured during this bankruptcy era for Chrysler, lubrication design flaws, and awkward pushrod angles, to name a few. There doesn't seem to be much you can do to prevent this other than make sure to watch your oil changes and do them every 3,000 miles, or if you idle a lot, FCA says to change it every 320 hours. Make sure it's always quality synthetic oil, try to idle less and drive at higher RPMs, or even replace the lifters. Chrysler also seems to have updated the lifter roller bearings in 2016 across all their performance vehicles with heavier duty needle bearings. The next flaw isn't really an engine problem, but if you're watching this, it does affect the SRT8 vehicles with this engine, so it's worth bringing up. But the issue would be the NAG1 transmission leaking, specifically transmission fluid leaking in the right front corner of the transmission oil pan area. This isn't the biggest issue in the world, but it's something to look out for if purchasing a used SRT8, as it will cost you out of pocket. There was a TSB issued for this long ago, around 2005 or 2006, but TSBs are not recalls. They're just a more common issue that the manufacturer is aware of. So if a repair is needed, it will be at the regular dealer cost. The O-rings at the electrical connector are the problem. Mercedes attempted to redesign the O-ring, but that didn't solve the problem, as when just the O-ring was replaced, the issue returned. So they had to redesign the entire adapter plug or coupler where the two O-rings are located, so the proper fix is to replace the whole connector instead. Another issue that many 6.1 owners may have is rather high oil consumption. Because there weren't many issues to talk about, this is just nitpicking, but the 6.1 engines have been known to consume up to 1 quart per every 1,000 miles. Some argue over whether or not this is normal, but some vehicle manufacturers like Chrysler do consider this to be normal, probably to cover their asses. Internal combustion engines will consume some oil, so between 1/4 of a quart to 1 quart seems to be reported among SRT8 owners. This is something to keep an eye on, as if you are beating on the car constantly, it obviously won't do well with low oil, and that could lead to engine failures, low oil pressure, extra stress, and other issues. So it's simply just important to check the oil levels often, as there's no other way of knowing if you're half a quart or a quart too low. The final thing to touch on is maintenance. This is extremely important, especially on a high-performance Hemi, and failing to do so can result in deficiencies, which can cause further damage down the line, especially on a car that one would typically accelerate and drive pretty hard. The engine is built to withstand the pressure, but not if it's not taken care of properly. So in this case, that includes always using the correct 91 octane fuel, doing oil changes timely, watching the oil level when driving hard. As we mentioned, it can consume lots of oil quickly, leaving you at a lower level even if the oil is clean, using a good oil filter, replacing the engine air filter regularly, changing out the spark plugs at least every 100,000 miles, and changing the ignition coils, to name just a few things. Again, be very picky on these standard maintenance items, and do them right and do them often to keep this Hemi running strong. Overall, the modern Hemi engines offer decent reliability, and the 6.1 might be the best of them all, as it has better parts designed for higher performance over the 5.7 liter, while it's more simplistic and basic technology-wise than both the 5.7 and the 6.4. The lifter rollers are pretty much the only somewhat common problem on this Hemi, and otherwise it seems like a fairly reliable engine that should last well over 200,000 miles if taken care of and maintained. So finally, that's the end of this video on the fatal flaw of the 6.1 liter Hemi V8. We've covered a lot, and I tried to break it down as best as I could. What do you guys think about the flaws that I've described? And for those of you with one of these SRT8s, have you experienced anything go wrong with your engine, or has it been smooth sailing? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe for a lot more Mopar content, and I'll see you in the next video.